The Dogue de Bordeaux is one of the oldest French breeds, related to the Molosser of ancient Europe, which influenced working breeds for years to come. France was no exception, with its own Mastiff types working across the country. In the 1800s, the historical city of Bordeaux, Mastiff-type dogs were heavily concentrated here, with lots of landowners who needed sizable guardian breeds. As such, the Dogue de Bordeaux was popularized and cemented in history. Romanticizing the past will lead us to think they are related directly to war dogs and antiquity. However, Mastiff-type breeds were already widely established across France by the later Middle Ages period. This wasn't uncommon for mainland European countries, as both laymen and aristocracy required larger breeds to guard land, hunt, or drive cattle. Unfortunately, brutal baiting sports were common during this period, which is important to keep in mind when learning about the spread of Mastiff-type breeds in this time. From smaller regional populations, the contexts and cultures were wildly different, meaning the use of their dogs also differed massively too. However, the Dogue de Bordeaux was the amalgamation of the needs of the people of southwest France. By the 1700s and early 1800s, there were already frequent accounts of larger dogs in the Bordeaux region. A region known for its agricultural history, they were highly prized estate guardians, recognized for their holding capabilities. This was game-changing when subduing livestock, predators, and criminals. Their wide skulls, muscular frame, and game temperament made them suitable for physically demanding work all day long. However, there is a twist to this story. The French Revolution disrupted the French social order and canine landscape as a result. Large guardian breeds were luxuries, owned by aristocracy and landed estates, which were generally destroyed or had fallen out of favor during the turbulence of French history. This wouldn't be the only time that the population of this wonderful breed would be at a bottleneck. Unfortunately, this is the story of many breeds, many of whom did not have the same fortunes. One of the first major appearances of the breed to a wide audience was at the Paris Dog Show in 1863. As one of the earliest canine exhibitions in France, dogs that were popular here were huge talking points, and this is exactly what the breed needed. A dog named Magentas won first prize in his class here, and with the freakish size and strength these dogs had, they rightfully received a resurgence in popularity. At this point, the breed was not entirely uniform, with no strict set standard like we've seen today, not necessarily a negative for the breed. Even in the 1800s, there were regional varieties, with different head shape, size, and with no central breeding program. The type was generally much lighter and athletic than today. As we move forward into the 1900s, kennel clubs and breed standards began cropping up for many more breeds. This meant the French Mastiff began the long and sometimes disappointing road of standardization. Breed enthusiasts began to define what the breed should look and act like, instead of the work which built this breed from the start. They emphasized the head shape, pronounced stop, and muscular lower set build. Before this gained too much momentum, the First World War occurred. Food shortages and overnight social changes yet again brought the breed to a bottleneck. As the recovery from the Great War was underway, World War II began. This was even more devastating, with France being occupied and resources scarcer than ever before. The luxury of raising giant breeds became impractical and less important. By the end of the war, the Dogue de Bordeaux was flirting with extinction. In the mid-1900s, breeders generally agreed that only a small amount of true Dogue de Bordeaux remained. The breed's survival was on the shoulders of dedicated breed enthusiasts who had survived the two world wars prior. This is a huge issue for breeders as the gene pool reaches a bottleneck with the population numbers. This is irreversible, unless they are open to introducing new breeds to the gene pool, simply put. By the 1960s, the breed was still a rare within its home country, requiring patient but delicate management to slowly grow the numbers aligned with a consistent type. Without national breed clubs and enthusiasts, the Dogue de Bordeaux could have realistically descended into extinction like many types of European Mastiffs that were lost in time. As the breed's recovery was well underway after the 1960s, the influence of kennel clubs and dog shows became increasingly more evident. The Fédération Cynologique Internationale, which oversaw breed standards across Europe, reinforced the particular physical traits which we recognize today. The show ring rewarded dogs with more exaggerated head shapes, pronounced wrinkles, and powerful structure. This left the already sizable, working structure of the dog behind. The show lines were significantly larger in overall bulk. This is where the previous bottlenecks in working lines have meant they essentially do not exist, only a modern show line version. This evolution is mirrored across the Mastiff type breeds. The human desire to exaggerate physical features and reducing working capability over generations pushes the breed towards the pet home. In the Dogue de Bordeaux case, the head was the focal point of the new breed identity. Selective breeding to meet and win under these new standards has shifted the dog completely away from its origins, including a century prior with magentas. Unfortunately, these changes have raised real concerns about movement and health that led responsible breeders to seek balance. Excessive exaggeration in giant breeds can contribute to structural and respiratory problems, unfortunately rife within the Mastiff community and often reflected in their life expectancies. Comparing the dog's journey to its cousin across the pond, the Bull Mastiff, a British breed developed in the 1800s for similar but more specific purposes. Intentionally created to subdue poachers on estates, breeding communities for their specific role existed long before kennel clubs. Physically, both breeds share the same Molossus-type traits. However, with the Bull Mastiff having a more recent working line, it is evident when comparing the extent of the changes over the past 100 years or so. Although both breeds have changed massively, the Dogue de Bordeaux has lost the majority of its original athleticism that it was bred for. The dog has also been subject to much more head exaggeration from breed fanciers, who have interpreted different priorities for the Mastiff breeds. Both breeds suffered during the World Wars, yet the Dogue de Bordeaux faced a much harder recovery. With the working Bull Mastiff communities having a strong foothold in the British Empire, it retained an identity amongst breeders that did not vary as much. The dog, concentrated regionally in France, already had a few instances of almost vanishing completely. Even by the 1960s, there was massive uncertainty, and it was the breeding groups which helped stabilize numbers. After this period, exports to other countries expanded gene pools and international interest. A really key boost for global awareness of the breed was in the late 1980s in the film Turner and Hooch, featuring Tom Hanks opposite a Dogue de Bordeaux. This created impulsive demand, alongside cementing the breed as a docile, loyal family guardian with a formidable exterior. By 2008, the American Kennel Club recognized the breed fully, a full 180 turnaround since the Second World War. Today, the breed in many respects still split in both its ancient utility and modern selection. At heart, it is still a loyal guardian, attached to their owners with a calm, watchful personality in the household. Yet its physical appearance has changed that reflects the changes to dog ownership with kennel clubs, and showing becoming more popular than working. The main challenge for modern breeders is to preserve the character of the breed without sacrificing the health and functional soundness. Although the modern breed is safe and sound from extinction, we mustn't reinvent the breed into something completely separate to what it was set out to be. The story of the Dogue de Bordeaux is therefore not only a tale of survival through revolution and war, but also an ongoing negotiation between history and modernity, between the rugged working dogs of southwestern France and the carefully presented champions of today's show rings. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe and suggest any ideas for future videos on your favorite dogs. See you soon!